In this video, we're going to learn how to create a two-variable data table. In our previous video, we learned how to create a one-variable so that we could look at the standard cost per unit and see how would that standard cost per unit change if we produced different different production levels. This time we're going to create a table using from our data menu and the what if analysis. We're going to use the data table again, but this time we're going to use it to determine two things. Number one, what's it going to look like if we produce different levels, different amounts of units, and if our markup percentage changes. So in a company, the company determines the markup, and markup means how much more can I add on to the cost per unit so that I can set a selling price. So there's so many things that go into that determination. They have to figure out what their competition can sell for. How much can the market bear? So it looks like at this point, if they mark up by 52%, that's what they do at the moment. But it looks like up here, they want to see what happens if it's 50%, what happens if it's 52%, and what happens if it's 55%. And we also want to find out what happens if our production numbers change. Right now, for our standard 500,000 units, it's $4.88. But we're going to use the what if analysis data table to figure out those two variables. All right. So we're going to start by, so all of these are actually set. So if we look at the E5, we've already dropped in the equals B14. So it equals the result of our calculation, which was the B12, which is our cost per unit, plus our cost per unit times the markup. So you notice, see how that works? So it costs us $3.71, but then we add the 52% markup, so then the selling price becomes $4.88. Costs us $3.21 to make it. We sell it for $4.88. So those are the calculations that go into figuring that out. So in our two-variable data table, we have to tell Excel that we want a difference in our selling price based on different markups, and we want a different value here for the cost per unit based on different production levels. So those are the two things that we're going to do to figure that out. So we're going to select the E5 and all the way down to what does that take us to? H12, because those are all the cells that are going to be involved in our calculations this time. So then we go up to make sure you're at the data menu. We're going to what if analysis. We'll click on data table, and then in the row input, the row is B13, so that's the markup. So that's across the rows, right? So B13 is the input cell for the row. The column input cell is B10. So if we look at B10, that is our various production levels. So in our column input, we'll put B10, not B100. So we have the two variables now. B13 is the markup value. So we want Excel to consider three different markup values. The column B10 is our standard production. So we want Excel to consider what that would look like with various production levels. So Excel is going to take the formula that it found in B14 now, and it's going to apply that formula to all these different variables. What will the numbers look like if I make 425,000 based on 50% markup, based on 52, based on 55? So keep your eye, before I click OK, keep your eye over here, because you'll see in a blink of an eye it'll do all those calculations and drop the amounts in, and there you go. So just like that, Excel has taken those calculations and said if you produce 425,000 and you mark it up 50%, then your selling price will be $567. All right, so that is how you use a two-variable data table using the what if analysis data table feature.